Welcome, Ghosts and Ghouls, to another episode of My Spooky Life. My name's Karma. So the last episode I talked about how when I moved up here to Dallas, I moved with my husband and we moved into his parents' house for a while. And a lot of crazy things happened. Like the main one, other than, the shadows, the usual shadows, the biggest thing that happened while we were there is I had a pull-out couch, and I'll try to show a picture real quick. So that couch was really heavy. It took my husband and a friend of his who was like 6 foot tall to, I think, was it Lauren? I don't remember who brought it in, but it took several of us to try to get that couch into the apartment, and then you set it up. Like, it's heavy. So imagine a heavy couch with 2 people on top of it sleeping, and in the middle of the night, it starts being shaken. Like, I'm talking about rocking up and down on each side. Like, so there's people on each side picking it up and dropping it, picking it up and dropping it. And my husband woke up. He woke up, he jumped off the bed, he turned on the lights, and it was still moving. I was completely passed out, and which is kind of weird because I'm an extremely light sleeper. Any little sound will wake me up, unless I'm like in deep sleep. But even then, like, I'll get woken up if the neighbors come home or something like that. And so I'm pretty sure I'd be woken up by the bed shaking that way. But I didn't, and he actually had to call my name several times so that I would wake up. And when I sat up, I was angry because I get cranky when I get woken up. It stopped moving, so I didn't even feel it moving. And he told me to get off the bed, and I got off, and I'm like, what? And he told me about it, and I was just like completely confused. And he goes and tells his dad, and what they do is, other than cleaning it with Reiki, because that was pretty bad, they eventually went to go get holy water. Which is where I can see a huge cultural difference between here and other countries regarding the churches. That was actually kind of hard to get the holy water. But eventually they got it, and they came in and they cleansed the house, and I don't remember exactly what they did, but it was taken care of, and whatever was in there was gone. And I can't help but wonder, I'm like, well, what was it? You're not supposed to ask that once you get rid of something, because you don't want to invite something back in. But there's some little voice in my head like, what in the world was that, and why didn't you feel it? Which kind of made me feel like I had a big target on my face or something. Because why was I the only one who didn't wake up because of it? Well, anyways, in that apartment, several things like that happened. Before I even moved in, I believe my husband had to get rid of something that was in his parents' room that felt forceful. While living there, I heard stories about exorcisms and the things that happen while it's going on. I mean actual exorcisms with a person, like Emily Rose kind of thing, Their heads don't spin, and they don't, they sometimes throw up, but they don't like spray it like in fountains of puke. That doesn't happen. But it's really powerful. You can get thrown around, things get thrown at you, and again, this is where I know that even if something's being thrown at you, nothing's gonna hit you. Like, it can get really close, but it won't hit you. The reason you get thrown around is because you're weak-minded in the situation and you're letting it affect you that way, which is why the type of person that gets possessed are those weak-willed. There's something going on in their life that's making their minds weak, and so they're easy to possess. So I learned a lot about that, and people think, oh, I want to experience it, I want to go through it, I want to see if it's really like in the movies. You don't. I would just avoid it completely. Let the professionals take care of it. And while there, I learned a lot of things about different places and the way things work, a lot of metaphysics and Reiki and all this spiritual stuff that I really, really interested in, because it kind of helps me know what's going on with me. While, since I'm married, he actually my husband talked to his dad about it, because you gotta wonder, why does this kind of stuff keep happening to me, and why is it always this bad? And the conclusion they all came to is that I open gateways. I open portals or doorways, whatever you want to call it. But I open them and things obviously come out. And realizing that, it explains so much, and I mean so much about my life, but why things have always happened. Why did it's everywhere I go, no matter where I move. Like, I for a while thought I was haunted. I thought that something was following me everywhere, but no, it's just I open things everywhere, and that's why. There's always something going on, and I didn't ask anymore. Other than that, I'm sure I don't know. I don't think there's a way to stop it. I'm not even 100% sure. I'm not even sure I want it to stop. And that sounds kind of naive. Why wouldn't you want to stop spirits, demons, and other beings from bothering you? And the reason being is that this is the reason I have this channel. I want to be able to reach out to everyone who experiences the same things and help them go through it. Because there was no one there for me for like the longest time. And up until I was 18, so 18 years of my life, this was happening. I guess really 7 years, because it all kind of, yeah. I guess more like 15 from what I can remember. I've been experiencing this kind of things, and there's never been anyone there to help me. My siblings, yeah, they went through it too, or they go through it. But there's, the whole denial, they deny it, and they're like, oh, it's not real, we were just kids, we don't imagine it. I've known people who have gone through things with me, and to this day they deny it. They decided that they're no longer going to believe in it, and it never happened. And, it's just like, okay, well, how are you going to deny something that actually happened in your life? And I want to be here for those who have to go through that. For whatever age you are, if you're watching this video and you want someone to talk to me, you can definitely message me on Instagram or Tumblr, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you and listen to what you have to say. Leaving the touching moment. So that was like the biggest thing that happened while we were living with his parents. Eventually we moved out and went into another apartment, and at this another apartment is where a bunch of other things happened. No bed moving. There was another shadow man. This guy, I know, wasn't, I don't know, I felt like it was actually someone in the apartment who broke in, because previously we had an incident where a maintenance guy came into the apartment without our permission while we were home asleep. We had a doorbell on our door, obviously, and whenever it rings, it's really loud and it will wake you up like that. If you could knock on a door even lightly and we'd be able to hear it. Like, you'd have to barely touch it for us to not hear it. And this guy I woke up because I heard something moving in the living room. And I woke my husband up and I was like, hey, there's someone in the apartment. So he gets up, he opens the door as fast as he can, and he yells with his booming voice that I've never heard before. Who the hell, or who the fuck, something into who's out there, kind of basically around there. And he told me that the guy moved out of the way, and I'll show you a picture. I have a picture. Okay, so here we have Genji, and then we have a moon, and this is where the living room ends, and it's where this guy was standing, where he actually hid behind. So when you open the door, you see the front door immediately right there, and then he was standing there, and he just ran to the other side to where the wall protects him from us being able to see him or whatever. And so, obviously it's really suspicious, and so we asked the guy, and he just kind of goes, maintenance, and pops back out. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing here, man? He's like, oh, I knocked. I'm like, no, you didn't. If you had really, if you did, you barely knocked at all. And it was just weird, because we usually double lock the door, just normal lock, and then there's a padlock for you can only open from the inside. And we didn't double lock it this time, and he got in, and which was really frustrating. And we talked to the office, and hey, you know what, guys, we have a doorbell. It's kind of suspicious that you came in here Didn't bother knocking correct or ringing the doorbell, and then he hides out of the way when someone asks who the hell's out there. So because of that, I was extremely paranoid about someone breaking in. So when I woke up and I saw this shadow figure in our doorway, and he didn't look huge or super supernatural looking, like he didn't look beastly or anything. It looked like just some guy in my doorway. And I wasn't frozen or paralyzed. I immediately reached over to my husband and like, hey, there's someone at the doorway. And when I looked back, gone. What made the situation scarier is that I had my Yule tree, my Christmas tree outside, and it was completely lit up and it was on, so you could see, like if someone were to stand in the doorway, I would be able to see them clearly. There's no shadow play or anything. Like I could almost read with how much light that tree was giving off. So the fact that I saw someone there and it was really clear freaked me out, because I seriously thought it was someone who was broken, and I feared for our lives. Because what scared me more than demons and ghosts and other beings are people. People are way more dangerous in my experience, from my knowledge. They're so much more dangerous and can do so much more harm to you than any of those things can. So not to say that I'm just gonna run away, I'm gonna defend myself, but anyway, a vulnerable laying down and there's some guy there, come on, get up. And so that freaked me out. And after that, my sister moved in and I already had 2 cats, and I was laying in bed one day reading a manga, and I look up because I hear something moving. I thought the cats were at the window again, so I was gonna shoo them off with it, but they were actually laying down next to me. And I look in the blinds were just swinging like crazy. Our AC was off. This was in the winter. We didn't even have the heater on because it wasn't cold enough to have the heater on, and it freaked me out. And I was like, okay, so the cats are staring at it, I'm staring at it, they're not the ones who moved it. What's going on? And so I called my husband and I did the bubble, and he did Reiki to get rid of it. And so it was a lot of things like that in that apartment. It wasn't that. That's another reason I don't leave doorways open, especially at night, because it freaks me out, it gives me panic attacks. That just didn't help. Like I tried giving it a chance. I'm like, maybe I got over it now that I'm older, but no, not at all. So, that's about it that really happened there. And there's just a lot of shadows, and that one big movement, like, okay, that's creepy. Actually, there's one more thing, the one huge thing that happened in that apartment. And it was pretty unsettling, I'd say, like extremely unsettling. And, so remember I said, people who get possessed are, there's something going on, they're weak of minded or something like that, to be completely taken over. And, that's never happened to me. That's one of the things I don't want to happen. So I make sure to fortify my brain. I read a lot. I investigate. I, keep a certain type of mindset. And so what I get a lot, and I'm sure a lot of you have gotten, is like this sharp pain under your ribs. And in Hispanic culture, it's like tienes aire, and it's, I guess, gas or something. I don't know what it is. I don't remember. But it's a sharp pain. It eventually goes away. And it's always like right under your ribs. And I had that for like a week, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I'm like, okay, no big deal. It'll eventually go away. So we're laying in bed one day, and I feel something move. Like under my ribs, not under the skin, like under my ribs. Like there's something under there moving. And I was like, okay, well maybe it was just whatever, the air pressure or gas. It was just my intestines moving. I don't know. It freaked. I thought I froze. I got like, what is that? And I laid there, and I felt it move again, and then suddenly it was rubbing really hard against my ribs. I felt like someone jammed something into my ribs and was stabbing me from the inside out. And I could feel it moving. I touched it and I felt it moving under my skin. And it freaked me out, and I'm crying. It's so much pain. I call my husband over. He obviously sees me crying. He's like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And I tell him what I'm feeling, and I don't remember, but I could swear I could actually see it move. Like, I can actually see the skin move. And so what he does, he calls his dad. Immediately calls his dad. And with Reiki, you can actually help people from anywhere. Like, it's energy. You're sending energy. So energy, it cannot be contained. It's everywhere, right? So he actually helped me over the phone to get rid of it. And that itself was a freaky experience, because I wasn't told that I would hear all this noise coming from the phone, and it freaked me out a little bit. So they eventually hung up so I wouldn't hear it. And my best example is the Green Mile. When Coffee is removing, I don't remember if he removed the cancer. He's taking something out, and you can see it. It looks like a bunch of like black mass, and he's sucking it out of Tom Hanks's character. Or was it the other guy's wife? I don't know. The point is, he's removing this bad, right? Whatever's making him sick, and he's sucking it in, and it's all this noise and lights flicker. It was like that. And that's basically what he does. He takes it out and then burps it out. Like in the movie, Coffee sits down and he looks up and he opens his mouth, and all this stuff comes out of his mouth right into the sky, and Tom Hanks' character sees it and he's like, "Holy crap." He actually did something. And basically that's what he was doing. He was taking out whatever was in here, because it took a good while. I don't even remember how long it took, but it took a long time. But I felt it leave. And it felt like, this is kind of a gross example, but when you find a hair in your food and you pull it out, but you still kind of have the food in your mouth, you can feel the hair come out. It felt like that, but from under my ribs. And it was really weird. And it freaked me out, and I was like, this is never going to happen to me again. I am not going to allow this to happen to me again. And I'm like, all I can think of is that scene from Constantine when that demon was trying to come out, that little girl. That is all I could imagine when that was happening. And I had to calm myself down and focus, and it's like, because that kind of mentality is what makes things worse. So I just wiped it out of my head and focused. But afterwards, I started thinking about that, and I kind of panicked just a little bit. Because that means that my ability to open doorways has become stronger, to the point where things are trying to come out through me. Which is, the whole meditation and reading about things, getting to know things, and learning to avoid these kind of things from happening. And I think that, other than the burned girl who came to me, was one of the scariest situations that had happened, because I think it's more of the pain that made it scarier too. It's just the pain that I could actually feel it, and it was tangible. It wasn't just something I was seeing, it was something I was feeling physically. And it's never happened again. Of course, like I said, I'm never allowing that to happen to me again. But it was scary, it was like, what was that? And so it was one of the worst things that happened. After that, a while after that, we moved out of that apartment and we moved into some other ones. And we'll talk about that next time. That is all the time I have for today. Again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, share, subscribe, like, and as always, stay spooky.